Well, in the midst of rising cost of living, what policies are in place that will protect those with next to none or no disposable income? Well, Matt Jonefield is the Managing Director of Debt Free Advice, who joins me in the studio. Matt, good morning.
Good morning.
Just explain a little bit about what your organisation does.
So for the last 17 years, Debt Free Advice has provided free and impartial advice to those that really need it. We've got over 30 face-to-face advice centres, and people can also contact us via video chat, WhatsApp as well. People often come to us in that state of emergency where there's people knocking at the door, threatening to take away their housing or take away some of their possessions. It might be a vehicle, which means they can't get to work, and those things really spiral. We can step in and negotiate with those creditors on that client's behalf, and often stop and give you that peace of mind to be able to get on with your day.
I know that you've had a really significant increase in the number of people who've been using your services as the cost of living creeps up, because people are finding that day-to-day life's just become unaffordable. From your perspective, watching the budget yesterday, there were potentially some positive announcements, things like help for energy bills is going to be extended. When you were watching it, what did you think? Yes, that's going to help rather than hinder, if we start with that.
So you're absolutely right. So last year, we saw a 300% increase in those people turning for our service. And already this year, just in January and February, we've seen a further increase of 65% coming and asking for our help. And that's an increase in working families, which you might not expect. People are already doing kind of 50 and 60 hours. They can't just get another job. There's not enough time in the day. We refer to them as our COVID heroes, an increase in the people that are working as nurses, teachers, supermarket workers, the ones we all applauded, are now needing our help. Now, as you said, there's some bit glimmers of hope in there, especially around energy. So the Chancellor announced that the energy price guarantee is going to be continued for a further 3 months. Now, we joined Martin Lewis in kind of championing that. So that is good, because it means that if that had stopped, your energy bill could have gone up by 20%. So that is positive. However, the Energy Bills Support Scheme that we've seen for the last kind of 4 months or so, which the government has topped up everyone's energy account by about £66 a month or so, that will still stop. So despite that, everybody's energy bill is still going to increase from April. So that is a concern. And that's a concern for us, because we've seen a 47% increase with people coming with gas arrears and a 44% increase in those coming with electric arrears. In addition to that...
So really you are seeing that people are seriously struggling to pay those bills.
Still struggling, and even more concerning.
At the level they are now.
Even at now. And what we also know is that about a third of our customers are on prepayment meters. So they're not getting into arrears, they're just getting cut off. So we've got real concerns over that.
Particularly the practice of force-fitting prepayment meters has been something the Times has been championing, particularly with their undercover investigation. That has stopped the practice of people turning up with a locksmith and breaking into your home and force-fitting a gas meter. For now, the energy bill bosses were sort of hauled up against to be questioned by MPs in the Select Committee earlier on in this week. Matt, what about the childcare support? For you, the childcare sector, it seems, are thinking, oh gosh, we don't quite know yet how this is going to work. Presumably, that is real help for parents who do want to go back to work, who may now be able to afford it in a way that they couldn't before.
Yes, but with a number of caveats, right? So it doesn't come in fully until 2025. We don't quite know how that's going to be paid for fully, as your guest said earlier. And in terms of that, we also know that those people that work in the childcare sector are some of the lowest paid in our society. We refer to COVID heroes, those people that work in the childcare sector, as part of that. If we can't get colleagues in that sector that are well paid, they're just going to be turning to us for debt advice as well. So that there is more questions than answers in that as well. So, and we'd also encourage the government to rethink and bring that in as soon as possible, because support is needed right now, not in 2 years' time.
How do you anticipate this playing out? Because, people going on strike, for example, are saying, or I was speaking to the industrial correspondent we had on the programme yesterday, said, I can see industrial action happening over the rising cost of living right the way up until the next general election. How optimistic are you that this Chancellor and this government will put in place policies that protect people from getting into debt?
I mean, the stats speak for themselves. A further 65% increase in those coming to our services in just January and February. Looking at our data, that trend looks set to continue. But what's important throughout all this is people know where they can turn to get that free and impartial advice. We're here. Our lines will be open today from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And anybody worried about their personal finances, just seek that independent advice as soon as possible. It's a free phone number. It's 0800 808 5700 or our website at debtfreeadvice.com.
Matt, thank you very much for coming in. I know yesterday was a really busy time from you, and also congratulations on that work with Martin Lewis to ensure that energy bills at least are protected for a little bit longer. Matt Dronefield is the Managing Director of Debt Free Advice. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Lots to come here. We've been talking about pay and how public sector rises